Welcome to One on One. I'm Greg Bassey, your host from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. Every day is a big day here at PAC 14, but today's a bigger day. It's a sad day, I think, because we have Andrea Berstler, our executive director from the Wycomico County Library System, here with us today. Welcome, Andrea.
Thank you for having me, Greg.
Now, why is it a sad day?
Well, I'm going to guess it's a sad day because I have announced that I'm going to be leaving Wycomico County in October.
This makes me very unhappy.
I'm sorry.
And it's all about pleasing me.
I get that. I really do. But
I suffer separation anxiety, and when people leave, I take it really hard.
Well, I'm sorry. I'll be back. I promise. We'll be back to visit.
So let's talk about this great opportunity that you
Yes.
couldn't pass up.
The Carroll County Public Library Director retired. She announced her retirement, and she'll be leaving in November after 14 years up there. And
I read this. She's like a saint up there.
she is an amazing person.
They want to name all the
Yes.
buildings after her and stuff.
She is. She's incredible. Lynn Wheeler is a wonderful librarian and just an all-around really nice person.
So real quick, why would you put yourself in that situation where you can't succeed?
I know. I'm going to have to be the person who follows her. That's going to be really hard. But the system up there is incredible. It's a community that invests in education and believes in the educational organizations that are there, the schools and the libraries and the colleges. And it's the kind of thing that only comes along maybe once or twice in your whole career. So it was an opportunity that you just don't bypass.
It's a big system.
It is. It is. They have 6 branches and 3 vehicles and right around 300 staff. And it serves about 160,000 people.
So are you intimidated by this, or?
It's the biggest job I've had. So yeah, there's a little bit of being overwhelmed at stepping up to that kind of responsibility. But the staff that's there is really good, and they know their jobs. And I believe Lynn and I share a common vision for an awful lot of what libraries ought to be in the future. And so I feel like I'm stepping into a situation where that there's an awful lot of positives already in my corner. I know a lot of the staff up there from professional organizations in the state, and I think I'm excited about the opportunities there, as heartbroken as I am to leave the people here in Wycomico County, because they are just an incredible group.
Right, not to rub this in, but the year that you and I both won We Heart Salisbury Awards,
Yes.
you won for the best newcomer and proclaimed that this was your new hometown.
It is my new hometown.
And I understand that you guys are thinking about coming back when it's all over.
We are. We really like being here. We like the community. We like the size of it and the location. I mean, it's close to the beach, but you don't have all of the tourist stuff. So we have every intention at this point of once my tenure there is finished, coming back.
So it's just a great professional opportunity that you can't pass up.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, it really is. And it's a lot closer to my family in Pennsylvania, and so that'll be nice for a little while as well.
Now, Carroll County is one of those places. Just 20 years ago, it was kind of like here. It was kind of rural. Like Eldersburg, that area was very rural, and now suddenly it is full-on suburban. Lots and lots of people, lots of different demands for a library.
Yes, they have 6 branches up there. I've gotten to visit 3 of them. All of them were bursting at the seams. And as I said, it's a community that understands the power of education. It is where I think Wycomico County could go if it could follow the model that Carroll County has followed and create a community that people want to move to, where that there's good schools and good libraries and good rec and parks and good colleges that attract people who want to then give back to the community. They want to volunteer, they want to donate, they want to, improve the things around them. It's a cycle that we need to really get started here.
What have you learned from here that you're going to take with you?
I'm going to learn an awful lot about economies of scale here. We have some incredible partnerships. The things we do with Warwick, the things we do with the Board of Ed, the things that we do with, say, Parks and Rec.
That last book thing with the Board of Ed was a big success.
Oh, it was
We did
huge.
that in the
Yeah,
paper.
the
It
book
looked
drive.
great.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the fact that we have cards for all the school kids. They have their virtual library cards. Those kind of partnerships. I'm going to take all of that with me. And they've good partnerships up there, but I'm thinking we can always improve those. And the other piece is the partnerships that we have with the other Eastern Shore libraries. Carroll County doesn't have that kind of consortium that we have here. The central libraries are all larger. They sort of run on their own. But I like bringing a mentality that says, what else can we do with the other libraries that are near us? What could we do with Washington County? Or what could we reach down into, say, Baltimore County and work with them on building that partnership, that professional partnership?
Am I hearing in some of your comments that things weren't going in the right direction here, that we were a little too slow for you?
Everybody's too slow for me. My family often jokes that I have two speeds, fast and faster. I think Wacomico is not quite where it wants to be when it comes to understanding how important schools and libraries and colleges are. Beyond the fact that they educate people, they educate our kids, they educate adults, they educate the community. There is a quality of life factor that when people are looking for where they're going to move, and especially this younger generation, they telecommute. So they look for where they want to live and then they find a job. And they can work anywhere because a lot of jobs are online now. And so we have to create a community that has the things in it that they want. And the things that they want are good schools for their kids, and they want good educational opportunities for themselves so that they can improve themselves professionally. And they want social activities. Everything is social. They want to socialize around education. They want to socialize around food. They want to do things in groups. It's important. I think that there are some that understand that. I think we're seeing some of that renaissance in Salisbury itself, where that some of the spaces that are being built demonstrate an understanding of this concept. But as a county as a whole, I think we're slow to grasp the importance of this investment in education.
I remember when Kathleen Reif was here. How many ago was she?
She was before Tom. So it was Tom
Right.
Heyman and then Kathleen
Right.
Reif, yes.
She was a change agent. So she came in right away. It was like, the first meeting with the county council, you need to double my budget and I need to hire 10 more people and we have to do this and we have to do that. Everybody was like, whoa, hold on. Let's get our breath here first. Don't charge my employees for parking. Just like, and she was right about all that stuff.
She was right.
But she was a change agent and people had a hard time embracing what she wanted. I always saw you as in the same mode, but you were doing it much more subtly and behind the scenes, and you're doing it in a much more polite, quiet way.
I do try. My husband and I lived in Lancaster County for a long time, and Lancaster County has a lot of similarities to Wacomico County. It's rural, it's trade-based, it has a very deep and rich history, and it's very proud of that history. We don't have the watermen, but we do have the farmers and the Amish, and there's a tradition there. And people like that tradition. They like knowing who they are and where they've come from. And there's a certain strength to that, and I think it's wonderful. But it tends to, on the flip side, make it hard when you have to embrace new ideas. You have to wrap your head around them because what you've known is what you know. And so, yeah, when I came here, I could see there were some things we needed to do. But I could also see that trying to run full force at them was not going to get the library anywhere. And we've been able to do an awful lot of them because what I've been able to do is talk to people one-on-one and talk to people in small groups and say, this is why we want to do it and this is what's going to happen if you let us do it and if you support us. And it's the momentum is starting to build. The other really cool thing about being here, the other great thing about being in this library was the staff itself. My staff has come up with an awful lot of these wonderful ideas that we're doing, and all they needed was for somebody to say yes and go out and find whatever resources it is they needed to do this thing. Bring in partnerships, find grant money, whatever it is. I've been able to unleash an awful lot of that for them, and that really pleases me because they're a creative and innovative group. And the community really needs to appreciate them.
Not to beat you up on this, but
Go ahead.
but as someone who believes in public education, product of public education system, you were a proponent, and I always counted you as among the ones that we in the community could rely on to help promote this mission. And
Yes.
with you gone, it's like we're losing one of our best soldiers.
Well, I appreciate that. But I think the library itself is the soldier. The staff really believes in the same mission. They believe in the fact that the community needs access to education at all levels. They're the passionate ones who are actually making the thing happen. I'm their cheerleader. I mean, I'm their biggest fan. And my job is to make sure that they have what they need in order to create the vision that we creative, together we have created. The staff and I have worked together on kind of constructing this vision, and now they're doing it. My job was always to just go out and find whatever it is they need to make it happen. They're still here. Yeah, I'm not here, and I'm the one who gets to get out and talk about the library and cheer for the library and advocate for the library. And there'll be somebody else who will do that. But that staff and the board and the friends, they're still here, and they're still going to continue this work. Every project that we have on the table is still going to go forward. We're wrapping up our strategic plan. We're wrapping up an economic impact study. And the improvements to the downtown library, the renovation of the front of the library, all of that's going to move forward. And I'm going to be able to cheer from Carroll County when it happens.
Right, that was the next question. Do all these great ideas stop?
No.
But everyone else is behind them as well.
They're all behind them, and we've gotten buy-in from the staff and buy-in from the board and the friends and the foundation. And we're just about ready to get started fundraising for the front of the library. October 26th, we're having a mini golf tournament in the library. That's our first gala.
I saw this.
And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's the Saturday
It'll be your
and
last
Sunday.
event?
That will be my yes. Yeah, I will actually have to come back for that because I'll be gone by then. But I will come back because that's just way too much
There's
fun.
another fall book drive though, right?
There's a fall book sale,
Right.
yes, and that'll be in November.
Okay.
And I believe it's the weekend right before Thanksgiving. But October 26th and 27th or 27th, 28th, I didn't look at the dates this morning.
Right.
It's Saturday and Sunday. Saturday, the library will be closed. We'll set up 18 holes of mini golf, and that night we'll have an adults version of mini golf. We'll have a cash bar, and there'll be silent auction items and heavy hors d'oeuvres and lots of fun. And the idea will be to have people sign up their foursomes and come in and play the 18 holes.
What a great idea.
It's just, it's quirky, but it's an awful lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it will be it's dress however you want,
Right.
wear your wear your best Caddyshack outfit for all I care. And then Sunday will be family day, and families can come in and there'll be a set price for each person, and they can come in and play all 18 holes of golf and just have themselves a really good time on Sunday.
It's amazing when you came, the library had just gone through the crisis of deciding whether to move from downtown or not. And that kind of divided the community about what the future of the library was. And you kind of mopped all that up. And then the recession hit and they cut your hours. The library wasn't even open on Sundays for a long time.
Yeah,
And what's the value of a library that's closed? I mean,
it's absolutely worthless closed.
It's got to be open.
Yes.
I get crazy like if they want to close at 5, and I'm like, but I'm still here working, Well, we're going home, and I'm in their workspace. I understand that, but it's still the library that has to be open all the time. So you got through all that. Your employees sure got their first raise in how long?
2 years.
In 2 years. So it's almost like the county doesn't even. It's like it doesn't even know it owns. It has a library and library employees and a library system that's crucial to everything that's part of our identity.
It is. It is. The library, the staff, who make up the library, are our biggest resource and our biggest strength. And so I fight for them constantly. And yes, they've when the county did furlough days way back in 2008, 2009, we did them with them. We didn't have to, but we said, you know what, we're going to be part of the county and we're going to play by these same rules. And we appreciated the fact that when the county funded back those furlough days for its staff, it funded back the furlough days for us.
Right.
And for a long time, that was the model. If it did it for its employees, it would provide for us as well. And that's not a model that's being followed now, and it's really difficult for the staff because they feel like they're, sort of the stepchildren of the county, and that's not fair. They work very hard, and many of them are professionals. They have advanced degrees, and they're here not because of the money, and they're not here because they're going to get rich being librarians, because that never happens, but because they love the people of this community and they love what they do.
Right.
And they understand the importance, as you do, of a library in a community. It's not just loaning books.
Yeah, I love libraries. I go around. I can do my work remotely, so I'll go to libraries and work. And one of my favorites was the little library in Berlin.
Oh, yes.
It's like 4 tables.
Yes.
And there's too many kids in there on the other side. It's too loud a lot of times. But anyway, it's like 4 tables. And if you go in there and you're regular, it's like you and 7 or 8 other people who go there every day. And they read the periodicals and they hang out. And you sort of get to know them. You don't really talk to them, but you get to know them and you nod, you say hi. Well, I went to the opening of the new Berlin Library. And all those people were there. And all the librarians were there. And they had worked in this little tiny, basically one-room library for years and years and years. And now they're in this beautiful but not overdone library. It fits the town exactly as it should. And people were crying.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I couldn't get into it enough to cry, but I could see why they were crying because it was done that well. And it's such a testament to themselves and their community and the vision of that library system down there. It's just amazing.
It is. It really is. I'm so happy for Worcester County because the Berlin Library was just, it was too tiny.
Right.
It was just too small. And they really did do a wonderful job designing it. They were able to keep an awful lot of the same structure internally, so they believe that it'll be easy for their locals, their patrons, to be able to find things because they're pretty much in the same spot.
Right.
And I think that's really a thoughtful thing by their librarians to do that.
I haven't worked out there yet, but I have a feeling it's going to be me and the same 8 people.
Probably.
In the same
And
part of the
maybe an extra 2 or 3 because there'll be more tables. We're hoping that we can do exactly that same thing in Pittsville.
That was my
in
next
about
question.
3 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I make fun of you for the Pittsville thing.
Yes.
I know because it seems like a lot of money to me, but are you alone on this Pittsville thing, or it's going to go?
No, it's in the capital budget for the county, and we will be writing our first state grant this spring to go into that project. It's a 2-year project, about $4.2 million to build. About a 10,000 square foot library, and it will really be a community hub for Pittsville. There's just really not any too many community buildings out there. There's the fire department, and
they have the
kinda,
firehouse.
Yes, and 1 or 2 churches, and that's sort of it. So this will be a real community center for them. The library that's out there now is about 1,400 square feet, and it's been way too small for a long time.
Well, it's a portable.
It's a double wide.
Right.
Yes, it's a double wide, and it's the second one we've had out there. And we just don't want to put a third. We really want to build a building. It's actually more cost effective to just put them in a building at this point. So we're looking for a location. We're trying to find a really good spot.
So it wouldn't be where it is now, where the
school there's not enough room on the school's property to do it. We've talked to the Board of Ed, and there's just not enough space to put parking, a sufficient amount of parking for that building. So we're looking for a place maybe 2 acres or a little less that we can put a building and parking and do all the stormwater management and all that kind of stuff that you have to do with buildings nowadays, and build them a space where that they can have public meetings and the kids can come after school, and they have a coffee klatch there, the same kind of thing you're talking about with Worcester. Same 2 or 3 people show up every day, they have coffee, they talk about books, they talk about what's going on. It's part of their social fabric out there, and I'm just so delighted with what they're doing in that library.
In your time here, what's been the biggest problem that just has you beating your head against the wall that you can't get over?
Oh, most problems you can either solve or go around them. That's sort of my strategy. I think probably the biggest one is back to the very first thing we talked about, which is the investment in education piece. It's coming. We're getting people to understand the fact that libraries are education. Libraries are not an amenity. We're not, like a tourist attraction. It's not that kind of structure. They really are part of the fabric of an educational system in a community. We provide space for adult education. We do literacy tutoring. We do job search assistance and after-school tutoring.
I watch that job search area when I'm there, and constant
all
traffic.
The time, yes.
And you can see people are truly being helped. They go in there and they don't have a clue what they're doing, and they walk out with a plan.
That's exactly right. And we're expanding the hours for that. We're really pleased. Lower Shore Workforce Alliance has been able to increase some of the funding for that. We'll be hiring a 3rd person. We'll be able to expand those hours so people will be able to have more access to the computers and the one-on-one assistance and all of the information that they keep in there. And I'm real excited about what that's going to do for the community. We're already up to 60 or 70 visits a week. I'm sure it will climb again.
Right. So in terms of people, the people who should get it don't get it.
And I know that they're overwhelmed. I mean, there's a lot of problems in the community. We've got infrastructure problems. We've got roads, and bridges that need to be dealt with. We've got crime.
We're a poor
We're
county.
a poor county. But the fact of the matter is that one of the ways that you improve the economy of a community is by educating its citizens so they can get better jobs. And that's what we're trying to do. And I think people wrapping their head around that concept is probably one of my biggest frustrations is they just don't seem to always understand how that connection works.
Yeah, in the Warwick thing, I would argue with politicians who just didn't seem to understand, well, why are these people getting a free education? Because you're going to build a skilled workforce.
That's exactly right. It amazes me all the time when we see the numbers for unemployment. You've got the same amount of people unemployed almost as you have jobs that are open, but the people who are unemployed are by no means skilled enough to take the jobs that are open. So it seems to me that that's a real easy solution. You start training them.
Right.
Now they're not all going to be qualified to be trained that way, but you start. And I think that Ray Hoy over at Warwick gets this. And he's done a wonderful job at keeping Warwick nimble so that they can launch new programs as quickly as possible to address the educational needs in the community.
I argued with him recently. They're training dealers and people to work in the casino. And I was like, that's dumb. Why would you do that? And he's like, because there's 100 jobs over there that need to be filled and people don't know how to do it. Like, I just didn't get it.
Yeah. And so
and they're all making more money than me.
They're probably making more, yes. Well, they're very lucrative jobs, and they're not going anywhere.
Right.
And if we can get people into sustainable work like that, how wonderful is it? Then they can stand on their own 2 feet. Isn't that what we all really want? Is to enable them, to empower them, to be able to take charge of their own lives again.
How does it feel for you when you walk into a library?
I mean, one that's not mine?
Any library. I mean, is it like a cathedral feeling for you, or how does it feel?
It's some of them are cathedrals. I went up to the New York Public Library a couple of years back and walked in, and it's jaw-dropping.
Right.
You go into something like the Philly Free Library or the Carnegie Library in Pittsburgh.
This is where the knowledge is kept.
Yeah, it's like this is Mecca. This is Rome for librarians to go into these kind of libraries.
We have to be quiet because the knowledge is sleeping.
Yes, exactly. One of these days I want to go to the Dublin Library in Ireland. They have the Book of Kells there, which is one of those things all librarians ought to see. But when I go into normal, regular libraries, I feel very at home. I feel like I can pull up a chair anywhere and I can plop myself down and I get it. I understand what's going on because while libraries are different for each of their communities, because their communities are different as well, there's a similarity and a feel about the fact that the people who work in libraries really just want to help those who are in the community.
I was talking to a guy over the weekend. He was helping a friend of mine move, and we were asking him if he was going to be able to help the next day. He said, no, I got to go to church. And as the day went on, he didn't seem especially spiritual to me, so I was kind of puzzled by this. And it turned out that what he meant was he goes to Barnes & Noble every Sunday at 11 o'clock, and he takes his coffee, and he just reads all day.
All day.
That's his church experience. And I was like, well, that's sort of a modern library experience, on the north side of Salisbury. He lives in Delmar. I completely get that.
Yeah. It's part of, I don't want to say it's a ritual because I don't think that it's just something people do because they do, but it's part of who they are to read, to share stories. And you think about years ago, thousands of years ago, the oral storytelling tradition was so strong because it's the only way that people could pass on information. And that's just changed in how we pass the information on. That storytelling still exists. And it's a very powerful thing for people to share stories. And so I think that's why libraries are always so important to people. You talk about people crying at the Berlin Library because they had this wonder. That's why it's so deep in them, the need for a library and the importance of a library.
You've done so well with the kids program. When I was a kid growing up in Salisbury, the basement was for us, and I don't remember anyone ever really coming down there. I guess Mrs. White was the librarian down in the basement. But I don't remember programs or stuff. We were sort of left to our own down there. But you all really have these programs and events that involve the kids and the parents. It seems like it works really well.
It does. It does. We're right in the midst of summer reading, which is the most fun we have all year.
And you've preached that forever. You're
my
the first
gosh.
person I ever heard talk about that, how the learning skills, the gap
Yes.
comes in when they're not reading during the summer.
They have to read during the summer.
Yeah.
And they need to want to come. You know, you can't make it an assignment. You have to read the. They do, but it doesn't work as well.
Right.
If you can make it fun, if you can make the library a place where people have warm fuzzies, okay, and they want to go and they remember as a child growing up and having a good time, you're more likely to keep them reading as they get to be adults. And so we make summer reading just about as much fun as we possibly can. We've programs every week. We get magicians and jugglers and storytellers, and we have a couple singers who come in and they just rock the whole library. And the idea is that as the kids grow, the library is a place where they always think of fond memories, and they feel like they could go back there, like it's a second home, and they're always welcome. And that's what we're trying to cultivate there.
What are you going to miss the most?
Oh, that's easy, the people who are here. I miss you, Greg. It truly is. The people of this community are incredible. They do some amazing stuff. Like, that's why we started the breakfast, was because we were finding out about all these wonderful things people were doing in the community and nobody was acknowledging.
It's the Lights of Literacy.
Yes.
Another
yes.
amazing event.
Yeah, and that will keep going. They're already planning for next year, and it's those people, those incredible people who do these amazing things. That's what I'm going to miss.
Your volunteers. Mm-hmm. What a great group of people.
Oh my word, they're wonderful.
That one couple, I forget their names. They're at
Jackie
everything.
and Ernie.
They're unbelievable.
Aren't they amazing?
Like, what's wrong with them? They're way too into it.
They're great. They're in our friends group. They work in the bookstore.
Yeah. They do everything.
They're everywhere. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We call them our ambassadors for the Friends, and they are one of dozens of people who give that kind of time to the library all the time. And we have over 800 hours, volunteer hours, at the library, and that's friends and the people who work in the bookstore and the people who volunteer at the book sales. And the people who come in and cut stuff out for us and make things for summer reading crafts and all that. They're amazing. They truly are. And they enable us to do all of the wonderful things we do, because I just don't have enough staff to do it otherwise.
Well, I'm really angry.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to miss you. It's all about me. I know that. The community is going to miss you.
Yeah.
So I hope you feel guilty about this.
I do. I feel horrible. I'm going to climb under this chair in a minute.
And I hope you'll come back and see us.
Absolutely.
And other than that, I don't know what to say.
I will definitely be back because I want to come back when they open up the brand new front of the library. That is something that very personal to me. I will be back for the mini golf.
Right.
In fact, I may even sponsor a hole, and y'all can golf with the ex-librarian or the former, library director. So
I would sign up for that.
See if you can beat me.
I can't beat your husband. He's a very good golfer.
He is a very good golfer.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at putting though, so you're probably going to have a hard time with that. And as I said, we have friends here, and we want to come back and we want to keep those connections because it's important to us. And so we will be back for sure.
She's Andrea Berstler. She's our library director. She's leaving for a really good job up in Carroll County, and we're happy for her, but we're also very upset. So thank you for being here today.
You're very welcome, Greg.
I'm Greg Bassett from the Salisbury Independent Newspaper, another edition of One on One right here on PAC 14.
First Shore Federal is proud to support PAC 14 and One on One. We'd encourage every business to support PAC 14 and pick a program and support it, and let's make a difference.